Today we're getting back to most of the same. Alright, so Twiddle Storm. This deck gets its name from the card Twiddle here to tap or untap target artifact, creature, or land. And then notably this card, Psychic Puppetry, lets you splice onto Arcane Twiddle's effect onto various arcane spells that we have in our deck. And what this allows us to do is, alongside the new land Lotus Field, which makes 3 mana, these Twiddle effects turn into make 3 mana. So basically Twiddle becomes Dark Ritual, and, you know, Psychic Puppetry tacks a Dark Ritual onto any of our arcane spells. And basically you draw and search through your deck, generating mana while you do so until you eventually have a Storm Count to kill them with Grapeshot. How much does this deck cost in paper? This deck's pretty cheap to build in paper. It doesn't really have anything that expensive in it, from my understanding. So that first hand just didn't really do anything. It only had 1 land in it and didn't have any cantrips to get going. This hand doesn't have particularly good spells in it, but it's got 2 lands plus Lotus Field, which is almost always a keep in my experience. We also have 2 Twiddle style effects here. Each of these are basically Dark Ritual while this is out, so that's nice. Snow covered into Swift Spear, looks like a race. Hey, McCullough, thanks for the tip. Looks like a race to Crashing Magic Online, that is. What a wonderful day. What a wonderful day in the neighborhood. A beautiful day for a neighbor. Would Moto crash mine? Whatever Esper with Stoneforge Mystic, 3 mana tap for an Obsidian concoction you like best. Sounds fantastic. You played this before. Do you think it's worth the green splash for Sylvan Scrying? I don't think it's worth the extra color. I think the mana base is going to hurt you with the extra color. And not only is the mana base going to hurt you with the extra color, but I'm not even playing 3 copies of Tolaria West. And I think I would just max on copies of Tolaria West before I splashed copies of Sylvan Scrying. Hey, thanks for those 17 months, Thump. I appreciate it. Figure out what these old cards do. This deck's based around a standard legal card. What do you think will be the best Stoneforge Mystic deck in the coming weeks? I think the best Stoneforge Mystic deck is probably going to be a combo deck. Surprise! To the surprise of no one who's actually played Modern, I bet the best deck will be a combo deck. Weird. Bold statement, I know. LF8 Gaming, thank you for the 13 months. Welcome back. Team Hack, thanks for the 15. How we doing, folks? And to Dallas to play Burn. Burn's a great choice. Pengu Power, thank you for the 41 months of support. I appreciate that. Welcome. Thanks for keeping me around. His hand could potentially win on turn 3. Yeah, potentially. That's pretty unlikely, though. Although Past in Flames makes it a lot more likely. So we're definitely grabbing that. So what do we do here? So I can Dreamer's Grip makes 3 mana. Dreamer's Grip makes 5 mana. Yeah, I don't think that really does much. Yeah, we're only doing 1 Modern deck today because I had to start late. I had something to do this morning. I think we're not in any danger of dying next turn, hopefully. So I think I'm just gonna try and go for the turn 4 rather than like trying for turn 3 and potentially getting unlucky. Yesterday I said we would potentially do all modern again today. But if I'm being completely honest, there wasn't nearly as much excitement around the modern changes as I was expecting. So we're gonna go back to doing 2 modern per day starting tomorrow. But I still have standard decks in the queue, so we're just gonna stick to the normal-ish plan. So if I Dreamer's Grip here, I make 3 mana, and then I can Psychic Puppetry and Peer Through Depths for free. The question is, do I think I die next turn? Like, if their play last turn was just cast Light Up the Stage, like, what are the odds I die next turn? Pretty low. It's pretty low, right? Does anybody think we need to go for it here? I feel like I should just pass and like go for it on turn 5. Yeah, I agree. I think the percentage I die next turn is lower. And the lines that kill us from 14 here are pretty minimal when they're, especially because their play was so bad last turn. Like, their hand is obviously not good. So I think I'm just supposed to do this. I didn't have mana to bounce their guy, Burgle. I'd have to use a Dreamer's Grip to bounce their guy. And at that point, I have less mana the following turn. It seems like your win percentage is high this turn, too. Instead of just telling me I'm wrong, explain why I'm wrong. Or take a 10-minute break. Them's gonna be the rules while we play Magic Online, okay? Not only do we get an extra card, but we get 2 extra mana. And again, there's just like, I know Twitch chat like is programmed to like always want to go for it, but like there's no reason to take an unnecessary risk there. Like again, just because what my opponent did as their turn last turn, the odds of them killing us are so absurdly low. And like this is a great example, right? Like I have a bunch of mana here now, but I don't have that many cards that draw, but because I have so much mana, I'm gonna be able to use the Passive Flames to flashback these Sleight of Hands and stuff now. Yeah, there's no reason to go for it early. Like if I felt like my opponent was probabilistically going to kill me the following turn, then I can and should go for it as aggressively as possible. But because the odds of them killing me the next turn are really low, it's very incorrect for me to just go for it. Dead Guy Ale isn't even in the deck queue. No one has submitted it. If I'm being honest, I have no desire to play Dead Guy Ale really in Modern because I don't think it's going to be particularly good compared to some of the other options. First time I've made it to a live Hogan stream. I've watched almost every Modern video on YouTube. Well, Dama, thank you for the Prime support. Welcome to a live one. Good to have you here in Hoaglandia. Sure, not only are they likely to find a bunch of damage next turn, but, like, I'm incredibly likely to go off from this position. Is, like, the other part of it. Like, the odds of us bricking from here are really, really low. We have so much mana, and we have so many ways to find more cards. Merchant Scroll here and grab a card that draws cards. Yeah, it's exactly how this deck works. So you use the Twiddles and the Psychic Puppetry style of effect here to splice onto your other arcane spells to keep untapping Lotus Field. And eventually we will find a Grapeshot and we will kill them. So there's 2 copies of Grapeshot in our deck. Storm is currently 13. I have a bunch of cards in my bin still that I can flash back yet. Bottom. Cycle this. Untap this. Hey, look, an extra land. Cast Sleight of Hand. Hey, look, a Reach Through Miss. A Reach Through Miss with the Psychic Puppetry in my hand here. Actually nets me a mana. Hey, look, Ideas Unbound. Costs me no mana because we get to splice the Psychic Puppetry onto it. And then we get to draw 3 cards. Hold on, folks, I'm going to do it again. Hey, look, there's a Grapeshot. Hey, look, my opponent's at a very convenient 19 and the Storm is 18. Trigger. I think this deck's probably very good. I think the level of interaction, the number of things that can what's the upside? That's a good question. So the upside to playing this deck versus traditional Storm is that the number of interaction points you have when playing against this deck are much lower. You cannot save targets. So the Storm deck, in order for it to go off on turn 3 to 4, generally speaking, you have to have a creature that lives. So in order to interact with this deck, you need to be able to interact with the Hexproof land, which is a tall order. It's like exactly Alpine Moon or Blood Moon. Past that, even with this graveyard element, there's a little bit less graveyard hate with Faithless Looting getting banned, and 2, you can board into this Aria of Flame plan pretty easily post board. Yeah, the earliest this deck can combo is turn 3. That's true. Damping Sphere turns off. Damping Sphere turns off your deck in a couple of different ways. It's part of the reason we've got some Abrades here in the sideboard. I don't expect Damping Sphere out of my opponent's mono red spells deck. Why doesn't Twiddlestorm run Manamorphose as a free spell? Because it doesn't actually accomplish anything. When this deck's going off, it doesn't really have an issue. Generating storm count. So like arbitrarily adding storm count isn't really a big deal. Because we don't have the mana creatures, we don't have a way to net extra mana for Manamorphose. We also don't have that much red mana in our mana base. We have some, but not a ton. Bring in a couple Aria of Flames as an alt win condition. If I was expecting a lot of graveyard hate, we'd trim on more of the Past in Flames, but I'm not expecting that much graveyard hate out of my opponent. It is important to bring in a second win condition, though, just in case my opponent, like, does have Surgical Extraction. I don't want them to, like, Surgical my Grapeshot and leave me dead. So, this hand, I think I would keep this hand if this was any other, like, blue land in my deck, other than Lotus Field, but, like, my opponent's deck is pretty aggressive, so I don't think I can keep my Fiery Isle as my only land, which is a real cost to having this land in my deck. This hand is super reasonable. We're definitely going to keep. Needs a third land so we can get this Lotus Field down, but I've got plenty of good cantrips to find it, so we'll get to go Spirebluff into Serum Visions. You thought about using white noise for your stream? Nah. The really fancy thing about computers is that people can have their computer play multiple sounds at the same time. So if people are looking for something like white noise to add to the background of my stream, I'd encourage playing a second audio stream in the background. How is Stoneforge Mystic Freedom Day? It went about as expected. Maybe that's not strictly true. It was better. It was a lot better in the Vanifear deck than I was expecting it to be. Overall, the fair Stoneforge mid-range decks were pretty lackluster, though. So at this point, I'm looking for a copy of the Psychic Puppetry to kind of get going. What do you search for in the Vanifear deck? I'd encourage you to check out the page on my website about the deck that explains how the combo works. I think I just take Aria of Flame here. If they don't... Now, with the Steamkin in play, there's a chance they kill us on their turn 4. But if they don't kill us on their turn 4, we can probably kill them on our turn 4 with this Aria of Flame. Is that even strictly true? Maybe that's wrong, actually. Was I supposed to take the cantrip there? Yeah, maybe I was supposed to take the cantrip. This is a Lava Dart, just to crash through, sure. Yeah, there's a lot of sweet bad decks. A lot of people are going to try and put Stoneforge Mystics into decks that aren't good and expect it to magically make those decks good, when in reality, they're still bad. Stoneforge Mystic doesn't magically make people's pet decks that were terrible better. They're still bad. I feel like there's a good chance we die next turn, huh? I feel like there's a good chance we die next turn. Have you talked about the meta without Faithless Looting? I've not, because anybody who's telling you they know what the meta is without Faithless Looting is lying to you, or they're an idiot, and in either case you shouldn't listen to them. Alright, I think we try and spin. I think that we have a low probability of going off here, but I think there's a pretty good chance my opponent kills me next turn, so I'm supposed to try. I also think, as we talk about a lot, this idea that there's this very concrete metagame in Modern is nonsense that people tell themselves so they can feel good about the decisions that they're making. Like, in general, Modern is this format where people just play the deck that they like playing, and they show up and play whatever they want, right? Like, the number of people who are gonna sell their Faithless Looting deck. Yeah, I'm gonna cross my fingers and hope I don't die next turn. I think there's a good chance we die here, but I think I'm just supposed to hope for it since I missed. We were hoping to hit Psychic Puppetry on that Peer Through Depths, and if we hit Psychic Puppetry on that Peer Through Depths, then we would have been able to cast Reach Through Myths, untap, Ideas Unbound, untap, and maybe go from there. I have no idea. I am by no means an Izzet Phoenix expert. I'm unsurprised to die there. Maybe I'm supposed to have some lightning bolts on my deck. That's very possible. Yeah, and another part of it too is there's a lot of people that are just like looking to make hot takes so people will click into their content, like that are gonna talk about like, oh, based on my expensive testing on Magic Online from the last week, Stoneforge Mystic is everywhere and it's oppressive. And it's just like people don't get that like lots of people are just like playing with new toys right now, and like is by no means representative of like what actual tournaments are gonna look like. Even when, another thing too is like something that's really important to remember is that like even when there's a deck like Hagak that's super oppressive is like 10% of the field, right? Like Hagak is probably the most busted modern deck I've ever seen in the decade I've been playing this format, and it was still only 10% of the people showing up to a tournament. That is peak modern right there. It is the best deck we have ever seen in the format, and it was only 10% of a major tournament. That's how Modern works. Modern is a format where people show up and play whatever they feel like showing up and playing. It doesn't matter what's actually good or what's actually bad. Definitely want Psychic Puppetry. I think I want to try and find some other arcane spells to splice it onto. Twiddle's doing the same as it was pre-ban. The format's not that different. Yikes, they do have Eidolon. Well, I brought in a couple of lightning bolts. That's unfortunate for us, though. Huh? So each of these make 3. So I'd have 4 mana after casting both of these. The rest of my hand isn't very good here, though. Both Past in Flames and Aria of Flame looking super awkward here. Only dings you once. I think I'm gonna spin and try and go for it here. I think without a bolt in my hand, there's a pretty good chance we just don't have enough to do anything with here. Alright, Twiddle is not a bad draw. It generates 3 mana. No, we did not play against Dredge at all yesterday. Well, we make red. We cast Twiddle on here. Cast Serum Visions. We have 2 bolts in our deck and a Grapeshot. Wow, that's really bad. I think we go bottom here. Okay, so there's a Grapeshot. So now we can go Reach through miss, splice additional spells, target this. I already played a land for the turn. Hey, Prep, thanks for the host. Currently jamming some Modern. So I need to make blue. And then I need to reach through miss again with Psychic Puppetry to untap this. So we're going to get this Eidolon off our back, but our draws have been pretty bad here, and I'm not sure that we're going to be able to continue going off from this point. It's actually kind of a shame, because if this was my second Grapeshot, I'd actually have been able to kill them here. But I boarded my second Grapeshot out to diversify my win conditions. No, we're only doing one Modern deck today because I had to start late. We're gonna be doing 2 Modern decks today starting tomorrow. And the problem is, from this point, I just can't do anything, right? Because I can Psychic Puppetry and then Sleight of Hand, but then I don't go anywhere. It's not even the diluting the combo dilemma. It's just I have the wrong win condition, Juju. Like if this was the different win condition, it wouldn't have mattered. Yeah, because like even if I do this, yeah, I needed any number of these cards to, I needed one of these 4 draws to like be another Twiddle effect. No, that's not how Past in Flames works, Meadow. Past in Flames gives everything that's already in your graveyard flashback, chat. So not spells that are put into your graveyard after you've cast Past in Flames do not gain flashback. And like there's no guarantee there that like if I had because the way I had boarded, I had 2 Aria of Flames and 1 Grapeshot in my deck. So like if I would have boarded out had the other way, like there's a chance that flame was still the second flame instead of the first one. No, I did not have Thing in the Ice in my deck, and I don't think I'm supposed to. Thing in the Ice is not a good answer to... Thing in the Ice is not a good answer to their what's it called? To Eidolon. Nah, Evermind doesn't really solve any problems that this deck has. So we're gonna bottom this, and we'll keep Merchant Scroll here. That was a keepable 6? I don't know. I'm just not justifying anything today. If you want to come at me and tell me I'm wrong, that's gonna be my new rule for Modern. We're gonna play Modern, but I'm gonna be happier if I'm not sitting here justifying myself whenever people are like, Jeff, why did you do a stupid? Instead of just making me tell you it was a stupid or not, actually take a little bit of effort and think for yourself and like tell me why it was good or bad. Yeah, Eye of Nowhere is basically there as just like another random arcane spell. That like lets you play for free when you have Psychic Puppetry. Well, we got Thalia, chat. The actual answer, Nivik, is I don't know. Like, this isn't a deck that I'm an expert with. So saying, Jeff, is this a keepable hand? Obviously, I fucking think it's a keepable hand. That's why I clicked the keep button. Like, that's just like the long and short of it. It's like, Jeff, you clicked keep, was it a keep? Yes, I think it was a keep. So like, if you want to say, Jeff, I don't think this is a keep, and this is why, I'm willing to have that line of discussion with you. Like, that's a reasonable line of discussion to have. I'm open to that, but like, you know, Jeff, did you mean to make the decision you just made? Yes, that's why I clicked the button. I didn't say, oh crap, I clicked that by mistake. Thanks for the 10 months, DNN. Morning, son. We can theoretically go off through this, but it's not likely. I mean, like, this isn't so much like my opponent's deck having a good draw, so much as like, I kept a hand and it didn't really pan out and do anything, right? Or like, the amount of stuff that it would be able to do is then severely hindered by my opponent's card. Like, we're playing a deck that's just trying to race, and they had a piece of interaction, and I don't have any anti-interaction in my main deck. We attempted to go off with the Lotus Field on this deck. That's theoretically possible, but it's incredibly unlikely. And there's usually not a reason to try and make that happen. We are likely dead here, so I'm going to concede rather than sit here and wait for my opponent who's probably disconnected. So I definitely want all of these. I probably want at least one less Past in Flame. Giro for us all. Thanks for the 4 months. Welcome back. I don't think this is a Fry matchup. I think 5 pieces of interaction is plenty. Grapeshot's a pseudo piece of interaction as well. Yeah, trim around the edges here, basically. It's just a cantrip, actually. Trim a Sleight of Hand. Is it worth cutting a pass? They might be a rip deck. If I think they're a rip deck, I don't know. I'm expecting less people to be playing those cards in a post-Faithless Looting world. If we were still playing when Hogak was legal, I'd like Snap, board, and Aria of Flame. Maybe this is a thing in the Ice matchup. Maybe that's what I'm supposed to be doing. This could be a thing in the Ice matchup. Let's do that. This is not a Jeskai Ascendancy deck. Yeah, thing blocks even when we're not flipping it over. And when we flip it, it kills them pretty quickly, right? Just be like a bad Blue Moon deck with that backup combo finish. How's Modern High Tide? That's such a good example, a good comparison. This is very similar to High Tide. No, I think that's way too slow and fair for Modern straight out of Texas. Yeah, his hand's like super close, cause like I'm gonna keep and hope and draw a land. The problem is that like if I don't draw a second non-Lotus Field land, my hand just like doesn't do anything. Yeah, lands or cantrips are both fine here, right? So I have 16, so like over a third of my deck is hits here, and I've got 2 shots at like a third of my deck. Like I've got 16 lands that are acceptable hits, and I've got 3 reach, 4 Serum Visions, 3 Sleight of Hand, so it's another 10. So I have 26 cards in my deck. So what's the math there? What's the math on 26 hits in 53 and 2 shots? So I'm 75% to hit a cantrip or a land in 2 draws. 47%. No, in two draws, so I get a draw step as well. So you're 75% with 2 hits. I don't know. I think 75% with 2 hits is fine. Sometimes magic sucks and then you die. To set a low bar, I think this hand was better than the first one. This is good. I kind of liked this deck last time we played it. Usually playing a new Modern deck and kind of liking it is a sign that I haven't played with it enough. If you squint, TT looks like an island. Please cast my spells. Please cast my spells. I personally am excited to remove people's ability to comment on my YouTube channel that will leave comments such as, this deck's actually very good, you just have to play it well, and then give no descriptor of mistakes that I actually made or better plays or why those plays are better. They're just people that need to stroke themselves off about their own meager deck choice and get very offended that the strange man on the internet could possibly imply that their deck's not actually good. It's much easier to just stick their fingers in the air and say, nah, my deck is good, rather than trying to think critically about decisions we made and why they're good or bad. You should DM me about tokens, Jin. We were paying for a storefront at one point, but there weren't enough people buying them that we took the storefront down, and we haven't put an official thing back up. But I can get you some tokens sent out. They're just handling it manually for the time being. Yeah, I agree, Matto. Modern, and we talk about this too, right? Like, non-rotating formats like Modern are places where people tend to have a deck that they play, and it's their deck, and they've spent a lot of money on it, and they've spent, more importantly than money, they've spent a lot of time tuning that deck. And to them, if someone's questioning the idea that their deck might actually not be optimal or ideal, in their mind, that person is questioning all of the decisions that they've made by playing that deck. So you're not just questioning the deck, you're questioning them, and you're questioning their investment of both time and money. And people get very attached and take it very personally if you suggest that there might be something less than ideal. Magic's the type of game where, because it has so much variance by design, you could always write off a person or a thing as, oh, they're not actually good, they're just lucky, etc. They don't know what they're talking about. If you just throw it off as, oh, they only lost because they made mistakes, and you don't even actually think or talk about what those possible mistakes are. It's just much easier to come at it from that perspective for a lot of people. We're pretty likely to kill them from here. Those top cards are pretty good. Yeah, that's the other thing too, is I don't understand why people have to think their pet deck is the best thing since sliced bread. Why can't we just be like, yeah, my deck is sweet, but it's not actually that good. It's fine that it's not good. I love playing it, and it brings me joy to play it. But just because my pet deck of choice isn't actually that good doesn't mean I have to stop playing it. Yeah, I think that's part of it too. I think a lot of people who are nowhere near being a spike are actually, there's a lot of people who think of themselves as spikes, but they aren't really spikes. They're people who like building sweet things, and honestly, I don't blame them. Building sweet decks is one of the best parts about Magic. So for those of you that haven't seen this deck go off before, this is what it does. We cast a bunch of stuff while splicing this card Psychic Puppetry onto it, because when we splice Psychic Puppetry onto these cards, it lets us untap our Lotus Field, and we just keep chaining through our deck whilst untapping Lotus Field and generating mana. and then eventually we find a copy of Grapeshot and kill them. I'd be surprised if any of the cards in this deck really spike in price. A lot of them are like commons and uncommons. So like while they can go up a little bit, they're not gonna like Stoneforge Mystic spike, because while this deck is fine, it's like fine power level, it's nowhere near, you know, what you see from other busted decks in the format. Refresh for my solidarity with freedom from the unhelpful Flack timeout. You have one of the most informative, entertaining streams on Twitch. Keep up the work. Thanks for the third of a year, Prime. I appreciate it. Foil version spiked. Sure, I'd buy that. Modern players love them some foils. They spiked compared to relatively free. I'd buy that for $1. Alright, so they're dead. We Grapeshot them, and then we Blast and Flames Grapeshot them. There's some guy in the Judge's Court trying to lace Mana Tithe effects on display spells to get multiple taps and untaps. Flusterstorm. They don't have mana available to Flusterstorm me. Psychic Puppetry was 20 cents, now it's $4. Sure. I guess percentage-wise, that card spiked more than Stoneforge, but in actual dollars it costs, it's much different. Alright, so my opponent is definitely going to have some graveyard hate. Post board. So I think I want to trim these Past in Flames. I think I want these Aria of Flame, because they're unlikely to be able to interact with that. I definitely want these Abrades. Rebuild bounces all artifacts, right? Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does. How's the Twiddle League going? Aggressively mediocre. We've been losing races so far this morning. I don't know if Stoneforge is good or bad, but I know it paid for a mini vacation. Yep. I feel like with these Aria Flames, 2 Abrades and a rebuild is plenty here. I don't think I quite need Echoing Truth or Wipe Away as well. Although you could maybe make the argument that they're going to have a lot of access to Damping Sphere, so maybe I should. I guess I have Eye of Nowhere. So I have the 4 ways to take it out. Yeah, see, it looks great. Yeah, I'm worried about Damping Sphere more than anything, because the trimming 2 copies of trimming down to 1 copy of Past in Flames are like pretty unlikely to go off with that. And I think I'm actually just gonna wait to play anything here, and I'm just gonna like Aria Flame on 3. Sword of Feast and Famine. Yep. They are cheaper, Marty. All right, I hit Lotus Field. Does Lotus Field mean... I think I'm going to try and go off turn 4. I think I'm going to go ahead and Serum Visions here. Sweet. Let's bottom this, top this. Dreamer's Grip might mean that I can kill them. That I can kill them on 3. So I can float 2, and then Dreamer's Grip, and that gives me a total of 4. I need 5 though. So yes, I'm just gonna cast Flame this turn. And then when they hit me and make me discard, what am I discarding? Well, I have the Sword of Feast and Famine, which is going to chip away at my hand a little bit here. We're bidding, I'm actually bidding Dreamer's Grip here. Wow, brutal. I think I'm going to ditch this because I need as much velocity as I can get. As much card, not velocity, card density as I can get. Think you get a Damping Sphere here? Yeah, we're probably dead. Yeah. Well. Oh, I guess I should just play the land out, huh? Because then it would be untapped to start next turn. Yeah, I should just play Lotus Field. There's no reason not to. If I end up short of mana, it's my fault. We've known each other for so long, Jeff. 13 months here, 15 on the main. That's like 28 months. Also, Marty, please untime out my main, you monster. Thanks for the prime, Divik. So, I'd be up 2 mana if I'd have played this land last turn, because I would have been able to play the island this turn, and this would have just been untapped. So. Looking for, like, Ideas Unbound here, so we can gain some massive cards. All right, you're back, Nivik. Thanks for the 4 months there, Vile. Sure, I appreciate it. Welcome. All right, well, Peer for Peer is a redraw. Again, just like looking for Ideas Unbound here. Yikes. So these each net a mana, but they only see 1 card, which sucks. All right, so this is our last draw here. And I guess we're technically, we're not strictly dead here. Went through a lot of cards without finding a draw 3. So, will Psychic Puppetry diddle the Stoneforge Mystic? I guess that's not even strictly true. I have an extraordinary appetite for broccoli and Jeff Hoagland rants. Thanks for the half a year, Hacksaw. Hope you're having a good one wherever you are. Thanks for keeping me around. Is getting another Damping Sphere. Oh, that's just infinite, right? Yeah. Sword plus Thopter plus Urza, Lord High Artificer gives them an arbitrary amount of life and a bunch of 1/1s. Alright, game the third. I think I'm happy with how I sideboarded. In fact, the fact that I ended up down a couple mana from that sequencing mistake that game didn't end up mattering. I think I'm going to keep this. Generally speaking, the bar for keepable hands that open Lotus Field is pretty low. And like, I've got a Sandbar to cycle, I've got Reach Through Mist to cycle, so hopefully we can find our Twiddle. Yikes. Yikes. Woof. I was gonna say we're gonna get to standard a little bit late today, but if this game goes and this continues in this direction, that's probably not, we're probably not gonna be late. I'm all alone, there's no one here beside me. Do 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 do. How goes the Twiddle-in? The Twiddle-in's been very disappointing. Feels like we've snapped back to reality. Oh, there goes gravity. Do 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 do. This combo deck is a joke. Fish Lamp Clock. Thank you for the 12 months of support. I really appreciate that. Let's get you a sword to go with that shield. Thanks for keeping me around. If you're having a good one wherever you are. So we'll end of turn, Abrade the Sword of Feast and Famine, and then draw a card with this Fiery Isle. There might be merit to waiting on this in case they Damping Sphere me, because I do have extra cards I don't mind discarding. Good golly. You didn't ever mind, so you could tutor it with Tolaria West. That is technically a legal play. I mean, 17, kind of 17 lands. Like, there's 21 actual lands. I guess it's 17 if you're, like, not counting Lotus Field as a land. Yeah, I'm kind of off this. This was real bad. Comparing it to Amulet Titan is weird. I don't think those decks are at all similar. Yeah. You know, I don't think I'd play this one again. I was kind of excited after the first time we played it. that time through. I know we didn't play perfectly either, but like, honestly, here's something you have to consider. And this is something that's really important. I think enough people don't consider enough, especially when you're watching people play decks for the first couple of times. If a deck is actually genuinely powerful and good, it's going to take someone who's not playing it 100% optimal and pull them through some of their mistakes. I think that's a consideration people don't have. Like, if the bar for your new deck being playable and good is the person playing it has to play everything 100% optimally, that probably means the deck isn't actually good. It just means that it's kind of neat and a good player can win with it in spite of it being underpowered. And as someone who played Kiki Chord for a long time to a lot of success in Modern, that's definitely a big part of why I had so much success with that deck. I played it really well, and people didn't understand what was going on, so I was taking a deck that wasn't actually that good and propping it up with reasonable play. And I have no doubt that, like, if you really love this deck and you play well with it, you're probably going to win a non-zero amount of matches with it, but playing more with this, the level of consistency it feels like it has, and the actual raw power level of what's going on does not feel strong enough to pull me through with anything less than ideal perfect play. So I was a little interested in this the last time we played through it, but playing through it more and more, like, I felt this, actually a really interesting way to describe this deck is it's very similar to Elves in Legacy, in that because we have this land in our mana base and a part of our combo is based on a land, this deck kind of feels like it simultaneously has too many lands and not enough lands in it. And like Lonely Sandbar and Fiery Isle to a degree help with that, but not quite enough, I don't feel. So for Modern fans, we're going to be going back to doing 2 Modern decks a morning, starting tomorrow. Today I had a late start, so we're going to go ahead and roll on into some Standard now. But starting tomorrow, I'm going to be live starting about 7 a.m. like I have been, as well as next week we're going to be doing 2 Moderns in the mornings on those days. But for now, let's dive into some Standard, shall we? Hey, Anti-Trumpet, thanks for the 20 months. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. My rough content plans are we're going to do 2 Modern decks a day until rotation happens. I believe rotation, the new set drops on Arena September 25th, so about a month of double Moderns in the morning again. Yeah, Serum Powder is Modern legal. Ace Crusher, thanks for the 2 months of support. I appreciate that. Welcome, welcome. Thanks for keeping me around. Level 0 Judge, thank you for the 15 months of support. I appreciate it. I don't believe my code is active anymore for Hurly Burly, but she does do good stuff. I would definitely recommend if you're looking to get some altars done. Oh, I need to launch Deckmaster. Make sure I do that. I'm 2 for 2 for streaming decks that firmly dumpstered Vizier in the last 45 days. So 45 days is a long time period. I'm a big fan of not subscribing to listing arbitrary tier measures alongside your decks. Because, like, for example, how do you feel about Modern Izzet Phoenix is enough to keep a tier 1.5? What does tier 1.5 mean? Like, you're attaching a measurement to something that I don't have a unit or a scale for. So I don't really know how to give you a nice Belly. You should, since the deck links work again, can you post a deck link of where you're at in the Discord? I don't think I'm gonna do champions today because I started late, but I think I'm gonna close on some champions tomorrow since they got their deck link stuff sorted. Perfect.